advancement are supplied by the opportunities offered the soul in the sphere of spiritual existence. Basically, what he's saying is that this author is explaining how karma can be worked out in the spiritual planes, and that this idea that we have to continuously reincarnate in the human form is a deception, and it pulls you away from your path. Expanding upon this, Burgoyne states that the reader must bear in mind that the doctrine of human reincarnation is not strictly speaking a doctrine of occultism. It's not like an esoteric truth. It's a theological doctrine of Oriental sacerdotalism, formulated by the priesthood, either to conceal the real truth or to account for what they themselves could not comprehend or explain. The same thought is expressed by Ranga Hilioid, a very ancient sage of India, in his book Illuminated Brahmanism, the True Theosophy. Regarding the previous quote from Ghostland, the same author concludes the chapter of his experiences in the following eloquent words: "I have stood on the threshold of glorious lands where my eyes could perceive the radiance of celestial spheres, the memory of whose brightness will warn and beckon me upwards forever." So going on with the previous example, a human soul that was active during the descension through the fifth heaven will likely incarnate into a mineral state that also has the attributes of that heaven or Mars. One example given in the Light of Egypt is flint, which can be used to start fires. Considering that Mars is best represented elementally as fire, this makes sense. I'm sure you can begin to think of other plants and animals that this soul can incarnate into. For plants, maybe something with thorns, like you think of like an aggressive plant, a combative plant. Let your imagination go there. Animals can include fire ants, lions, and anything else that could be aggressive or has brashness. Let's revisit this previous statement, though, as it reveals an importance regarding what we commonly call evolution, where it is stated that the same soul rebirths in a higher and more perfect form. He's referring to a physical form. Think about the contrast between mineral and animal that can exist. As far as physical life goes, they're practically opposites regarding complexity. There's much more room for complexity. Each time the soul reincarnates into a physical vessel through the mineral, vegetable, and animal planes, it achieves a more complex, more perfect form each time. We can go from very basic minerals to very complex minerals. Basic plants like algae to more complex plants that respond to touch like Venus flytraps and shame plants. And from basic animals like plankton to complex animals like primates. Through these three planes, mineral, vegetable, and animal, our soul is on a journey to become human, incarnating multiple times in each plane, and each time becoming more advanced. The soul is done with its involution upon reaching the mineral state, and begins its evolution up to the human form and beyond into spirit after that. Understand that all minerals, vegetation, and animals are all in the process of becoming human and should be respected. Think about that next time you go hunting. This is where I want to make myself clear, though. Regarding evolution, which I had stated previously, this reveals something very important. I am not saying that the human form, physical form, evolved from primates. The physical primate vessel does not evolve into the human physical vessel. Your soul just incarnates from one to the other. The primate vessel is likely one of the last animal vessels that we incarnate into before becoming human, as it is the most similar to the human form and has the highest amount of intelligence, I believe. Or one of the highest. You might argue dolphins, but it's another topic. I think this is why we see a high amount of animal intelligence in primates, because they've reincarnated countless times through the mineral, vegetable, and animal planes and have acquired a lot of knowledge. It can be easy to see that the soul occupying a primate's vessel is very likely ready to engage the human form in its next incarnation. This may also be the case with domesticated animals, cats and dogs, because they generally spend so much time with people. It can be a good transition into human life. This in itself could be an entirely new topic to explore, as there are studies on animal and even plant intelligence. The evolution continues after the human vessel expires. The soul, having completed its material journey, is meant to work its way back up to the first sphere of the moon, then upward through the remaining 6. In order for the soul to return to the source, the aspects of the personality must be removed, as these energies are bestowed upon us to be utilized in physical existence and cannot be held in the higher spiritual states. As the soul makes its way through the 7 heavens, all energies of the 7 celestial bodies are removed from the soul's personality and absorbed back by the governors. Remember earlier when the quote from The Light of Egypt, Thomas Burgoyne, he states that 7 governors absorb energies. That's what he was talking about. They take them back from you. Drawing from the vision of Hermes in Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages, after the lower nature has returned to the brutishness, the higher struggles again to regain its spiritual estate. It ascends the 7 rings upon which sit the 7 governors, and returns to each their lower portions in this manner. Upon the first ring sits the moon, and to it are returned the ability to increase and diminish. Upon the second ring sits Mercury, and to it are returned machinations, deceit, and craftiness. Upon the third ring sits Venus, and to it are returned the lusts and passions. Upon the fourth ring sits the Sun, and to this lord are returned ambitions. Upon the fifth ring sits Mars, and to it are returned rashness and profane boldness. Upon the sixth ring sits Jupiter, and to it are returned the sense of accumulation and riches. And upon the 7th ring sits Saturn, at the gate of chaos, and to it are returned falsehood and evil plotting. Saturn is the grim reaper, the lord of the material world, Satan, the harvester or eater of souls. He pulls you into hell, the material world. So why do we give such a positive connotation to the 7th heaven? Because upon absorbing the saturnine and manipulative qualities from you, your soul, that Saturn bestowed on you before, you then enter into the higher spiritual planes, the actual heaven. The 7 heavens are essentially purgatory, and Saturn is the gatekeeper at the end. So in this sense, he bestows upon you heaven. You get past him, that's it. Then, being naked of all the accumulations of the 7 rings, the soul comes to the 8th sphere, namely, the ring of the fixed stars, the zodiac. Here, freed of all illusion, it dwells in the light and sings praises to the Father in a voice which only the pure of spirit may understand. Behold, O Hermes, there is a great mystery in the 8th sphere. For the Milky Way is the seed ground of souls, and from it they drop into the rings, and to the Milky Way they return again from the wheels of Saturn. But some cannot climb the 7-runged ladder of the rings, so they wander in darkness below and are swept into eternity with the illusion of sense and earthiness. So this is why, during your physical life, it's extremely important to not become attached to earthly things and not be motivated by sense gratification. Enjoy the earthly things, yes, that's part of why we're here, but define your existence to them? No. Set your aspirations to the spiritual as often as you can and live as pure a life as you're able, so you do not end up wandering in these lower astral planes and fail to ascend afterwards. Part of the key here, as explained in the Bhagavad Gita, is to get to a state where you are not rejoicing when you receive positive things, and you are not grieving and getting angry upon receiving negative things or negative things happening to you. You're just taking everything as it is.